having a good and decent day today. This has been a productive day, so I'm going to call it a good day. Coming up is going to be a video about Sam Cedar going after Michael Tracy. Him and Sam Cedar were having a screaming match over something Michael Tracy posted on Twitter. Good on Sam Cedar for having Michael Tracy on the show, but it was a fuckfest. So that said, let's get into this story. And before I jump into the story, if you guys find yourself coming back here often, I know I make this pitch all the time, but the pitch is important because what I'm pitching about is important, at least from the standpoint of the show and keeping the show going. But if you find yourself coming back here often and you find yourself enjoying the content, please consider supporting the content through PayPal or Patreon. You get additional content also with our Patreon appreciation episodes between my wife and I. And those have been pretty damn good shows. So now that that's it, essentially, now that the house cleaning is done, let's get to the story. This story is somewhat of a bombshell. If the Democratic Party is interested in having to go at Trump with this idea of sexism and everything else, Joe Biden would not be the candidate to lead that charge. Joe Biden has just been accused of sexual assault. And this is not the 20-year-old sexual assault of a Brett Kavanaugh. This is 2014, 4 years ago. She has a very clear recollection of what took place. She also told additional people about what happened in the moment that it happened. And the wild part about it, she goes and talks to a Biden operative, and the operative tries to talk her out of it. I checked her Twitter page, and she says it was the most difficult thing that she could do coming out with it. She came out with it maybe an hour or so ago. What it boils down to is Lucy Flores. She was a Democratic candidate for lieutenant governor in Nevada. And as governor, and I can show you her picture. This is Eva Longoria. This is Flores. Biden, her campaign wasn't necessarily doing all that well. And Joe Biden contacted her campaign and said that he'll be coming, essentially help her out. He'll give her a power boost. The vice president of the United States comes to your district, to your town, comes to speak at your event. Ideally, there'll be more people to come because they know Joe Biden. Just name recognition alone. And so Joe Biden comes to the event. She's thankful that Joe Biden comes to the event. He's there to help her out. She needs all the help that she can get. She's standing there with Eva Longoria. They're about to go on stage. Eva Longoria goes on stage, and they're standing there. And as they're standing there, Joe Biden creepily walks up behind her. And as he creepily walks up behind her, she thinks to herself, oh my God, I haven't washed my hair this morning. Now, her second thought immediately is, why the hell is the vice president getting this close up on me where I am going to be thinking about my hair in the first place? She said Joe Biden leans in and kisses her on the head. And she said this freaked her out. She said she was almost in this kind of just paralyzed state because the second most powerful man on the planet has just invaded my personal space and touched me in a way that a family member or an intimate lover would touch me. She was violated. She was violated. She thought to herself she couldn't do anything about it because Joe Biden was, of course, a vice president who would believe her. The tax on credibility and all this other stuff. So the only people she told were her campaign staff. And she kept it to herself. She came out with it today. I'm going to read parts of this because I want to make sure I haven't missed anything and I want to get it right from her perspective. She said the reason that she's coming out with the story has to do with, like the pictures in the background, where Joe Biden is creepily getting up close to women, where he seems to be invading their personal space or touching them inappropriately. Look at the woman back there. She doesn't necessarily look like she wants to be touched in that way. Look at this guy looking at Joe Biden, Mac, his woman. Some of these pictures are creepy. And people have noted the creepiness that's associated with it. I also have this thing in my head of powerful men. Like, do they have a thing in their head about who they are? Like, I am Joe Biden, or I'm the Vice President of the United States. I'm trying to make the distinction between them just being a person versus them being this kind of label, if that makes sense. And whether that influences their behavior when they're interacting with other people. I'm assuming the answer is yes, it probably does interact with their behavior. I think of like rappers or some businessmen and the way that they would interact with women as if it's assumed that they're gonna, let's say, get past first base. The woman who was talking about Bill Clinton and the way that Bill Clinton essentially mauled her, she thought that Bill Clinton was there to talk about some kind of political thing. Bill Clinton was there to essentially not talk at all. And that's when she said Bill Clinton raped her. I don't know. This just sucks. That's all. And I strongly suspect this happens more often than we know, and people just don't want to say anything about it. This is her story, though. I'm moving down to where it takes place. I felt him getting closer to me from behind. He leaned further in and inhaled my hair. I was mortified. I thought to myself, I didn't wash my hair today. And the Vice President of the United States is smelling it. And also, what the actual fuck? I love that response. What's the actual fuck? He proceeded to plant a big, slow kiss on the back of my head. My brain couldn't process what was happening. I was embarrassed. I was shocked. I was confused. There's Spanish saying, "Tramaga tiriera." Let's see, so you can see it. There we are. It means earth swallow me whole. I couldn't move. I couldn't say anything. I wanted nothing more than to get Biden away from me. My name was called, and I was never happier to get on stage in front of an audience. There's certain parts of that I'm fascinated by because it seems common. When I was a child, around 8 years old, I was abused by a family member. And my response to that was to not say anything about it. And to not say anything about it until I was, I think, around 24 years old. And it was in a hospital. And at that point, we thought I might not necessarily live. So I can understand this thing of, I don't want to say anything about it. I want to keep it to myself. That type of stuff. I'm always fascinated by that particular reaction. As if you were the one that did something wrong. But it does feel that way to some degree. In my case, I didn't feel that way. I knew that that asshole was responsible. But in her case, this thing of feeling embarrassed comes along with it. I was embarrassed by the experience myself. I did nothing wrong. I was a fucking child. Let's keep going. So, right here. He was there to promote the right person for the lieutenant governor. Oh, I love this line. I love this introspection. By then, as a young Latina in politics, I had gotten used to feeling like an outsider in the rooms dominated by white men. But I had never experienced anything so blatantly inappropriate and unnerving before. Biden was the second most powerful man in the country, and arguably one of the most powerful men in the world. And he was there to promote me as the right person for lieutenant governor. Instead, he made me feel uneasy, gross, confused. The Vice President of the United States had just touched me in an intimate way reserved for close friends, family, or romantic partners, and I felt powerless to do anything about it. A strange interaction happened during a pivotal moment in my political career. I spent most of the time raising money, talking to voters, securing endorsements. Biden came to Nevada to speak to my leadership and my potential to be second in command, an important role he knew firsthand. But he stopped treating me like a peer the moment that he touched me. Even if his behavior wasn't violent or sexual, it was demeaning and disrespectful. I wasn't attending the rally to be his mentee, or his friend. I was there as the most qualified person for the job. I'd argue that is sexual assault. Why do you think he's kissing you on the forehead? He wasn't doing it in this kind of, fatherly love per se. It's an odd thing to do, and I suspect that he was doing it in order to get his jollies off. Do I know that as a flat fact? No. But I would say if a man is pushing up on a woman, that's an attractive woman at that, and he's doing so in a way that can come across, as even she said herself, as a romantic partner or sexual, this comes across as a sexual assault. Just saying. Don't downplay it. So she talks to a person associated with Biden. So right here, I love this part. Is amazing. I love this part because this is the worst part in the entire piece, outside of Biden assaulting her. When I spoke to a male friend who's also a political operative in Biden's orbit, the first man who heard the story outside of the staff and close friends years ago, he did what no one else had and made me question myself and wonder if I was doing the right thing. He reminded me that Biden had significant resources and argued points that he made me question my memory, even though I replayed that scene in my mind 1,000 times. He reminded me that my credibility would be attacked and that I should be prepared for the type of backlash, back and forth, that could occur. When reached by the New York Magazine, a representative for Vice President Joe Biden declined to comment. I'm not suggesting that Biden broke any laws, but the transgressions that society deems minor or doesn't even see as transgressions often feel considerable to the person on the receiving end. The imbalance of power and the intention is the whole point and the whole problem. The fascinating part about this is when she goes and tells somebody that's associated with Biden, he attacks the story. It's not so much the guy's a friend of hers, and I would imagine if he's a friend of hers, does he believe that she's a lunatic? Does he believe that she makes up stories like this in a trivial fashion? And if that answer is no, why do you automatically attack the credibility of your friend? I just find that to be a really bizarre position to take. And yet, to some degree, he's an operative for Biden. And is he going to immediately attack the meal ticket? And is he incentivized to not attack his meal ticket? Yes, he's incentivized not to attack his meal ticket. Perhaps my own history makes me look at this a little bit more aggressively than maybe she's looking at this. But a man comes up behind a woman, kisses her on the forehead in this kind of pervy way. He didn't ask her to do it. Kissing is somewhat of an intimate experience in and of itself. He's not doing it for some kind of, fatherly love. He's doing it, again, I would make the point, to get his jollies off. I mean, come on. But this is, if Joe Biden is going to be their standard bearer, Joe Biden is going to have to explain stuff like this. He's going to have to explain stuff like this. Creepy Uncle Joe's sexual assault. Not surprised. Dark roasted lefty. Yes, this is not the first time for him. He is a predator, and I wondered when it would come out. Danny Puckett. Well, I looked at her Facebook thing, and she said she seemed, I don't want to say traumatized by the thing, but this was clearly a cathartic experience for her. This is incredibly difficult to do, but something felt necessary. It took a while before I found the words, and support made me feel like this was finally a story I could tell. Yeah, especially if Biden is going to be out there hitting Donald Trump as a sexual predator. Yeah, I can see why. All right, I'm going to end this. Probably a ploy to get this out and discredit it ahead of the active phase of the campaign seasons. Bob Ramirez. Bob, yeah, that may be true. Oh God, that's always gross to me. Like, is she doing this because this is something that she wants to get out? She doesn't want this man running for president after being sexually assaulted. I can see that, especially with all the speculation that's coming out about Biden jumping in and out of the race. Maybe she wants to hit him in the knees early on and make sure the public knows about this. So there's that. There's the secondary thing of, is she being pushed to do this? Which feels gross because of what the topic is. And, that feels a little bit more gross to me. Is it possible? Yes, I suppose it's possible. Do we know it? No. And is there any reason to question her credibility here? especially if she hasn't, she's told people in the past about how this took place. This looks bad. That's all I'm saying. This looks bad. Garnome, it's impossible to tell if this is true or not. We will have to see. I wouldn't be surprised if it were true, nor would I be surprised if it's a ploy. Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, believe it or disbelieve it. I gotta be honest, I'm somewhat inclined to believe it. I'm somewhat inclined to believe this. This would be mind-blowing if this was false, because all of the powers of the campaigns themselves are going to be turned on this very particular point, and she is opening herself up to God knows how much scrutiny if this is false. Yeah, this is false. Let's see. All right, I'm going to end this. This can't be real. So, who put this up? Ishidik David. Biden 2020. Uncle Joe is back and ready to take a hands-on approach to America's problems. Joe Biden has a good feel for the American people and knows exactly what they really want deep down. He's happy to open up and reveal himself to voters and would give a pounding to anybody who gets in his way. Oh, God, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I will tell you this. This is going to be an albatross around Joe Biden's neck as he runs this campaign. Somebody has just come out and accused Joe Biden of sexual assault. Whether it's real or not, Joe Biden fits the character of somebody who America can look at and say, yeah, that's probably right. That said, again, the person who's coming out has to have a certain amount of strength to come out, because, again, all of the forces that are around in these political campaigns are going to be essentially dropped upon her. And she's going to be questioned. Her credibility is going to be questioned. They're going to be investigating whether or not she told her staff way back on. So this is not a minor thing for her to come out about this, which is, again, gives me a little bit more, maybe it's more on the side of truth than not. We need to see what takes place. That's why I named it. Nevada politician just accused Joe Biden of sexual assault, as opposed to saying Joe Biden committed sexual assault. I was trying to be honest, and even though I do want to ding Joe Biden, I didn't necessarily want to ding him in a way that was unfair. So, the story is one just released. I'll end it here. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all.